Okay, so we're going to do trigonometry application problems, and we're going to talk about something called the angle of elevation and the angle of depression. So our learning target is I can model, whoa, my pen's not working, sorry. I can model and solve problems using the angle of elevation and the angle of depression. So we're going to do doing trigonometry word problems is really what we're doing. Okay, so here's the first thing we're going to talk about, the angle of elevation. So the angle of elevation would be this one right here. It's when you're looking up to an object. So the angle of elevation is formed by an observer's line of sight and a horizontal line. So line of sight, horizontal line. So you're looking upwards. That's your angle of elevation. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do, we're going to draw and label a diagram, and then we're going to solve for the missing parts. So what I want you to do right now, I want you to pause the video, and I want you to draw a picture of the situation. So pause the video, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so this is a little difficult. So you got Casey, they're looking up at a lighthouse. The lighthouse is 84 feet. Okay, Casey is 6 foot tall, so if I do 84 minus 6, I get 78. So the length over here is actually 78. So this was 6, the entire thing was 84, that's how I got that. Okay, so I'm trying to find what x is. 78 is the opposite side from the angle 58, and then x would be my adjacent. So if I think about SOHCAHTOA, tangent is the only one that deals with opposite and adjacent. So the tangent 58 equals opposite over adjacent. So when we're dividing by x, remember the only thing we can do is multiply by x. So it goes to the other side. And then if we're timesing by tan 58, the only thing we can do is divide by tan 58. So it's going to be 78 divided by tan 58. Remember that you want to make sure your calculator is in degree mode. And when you put this in, you get 48.7. And that is in feet. Okay, so it's a little tricky to draw the picture, and then you got to figure out what trig ratio you're using, and then you got to think about the ways we solved them. So if any of this is not making sense, make sure you go back and watch the previous videos just to make sure that stays fresh in your head. Okay, so the first thing I want you to do for this one, I want you to read the problem, and I want you to draw and label a diagram. So try that in 1, 2, 3. Okay, so you got a kicker. So it's a, is it 100? Yes, I don't know why I wrote 117 right there. That's my bad. Let me change that to a 17. That was going to be a bad problem. Okay, so that's better. He's standing 131 feet from the base, so that's on the bottom, and we're trying to figure out how tall the goalpost is, so that's why I put x right there. Okay, so next thing we need to figure out what trig function we're using. X is my opposite from 17, 131 is my adjacent, and once again we're using tangent, because tangent is the only one that deals with opposite and adjacent. So tan 17 equals opposite over adjacent. So because we're dividing by 131, we're going to multiply that to the other side. And then we're going to put this in our calculator, and we're going to round to 1 decimal place, so we get 40.1. And once again, if you're confused with why we chose that trig ratio or why we solved it like that, stop this video and go back and watch the previous ones, because that's where I explain that stuff. Because I expect you to already know it, that's why I'm kind of just moving on. Okay, same thing with this one. I want you to pause the video, and I want you to see if you can draw the picture. So try that in 1, 2, 3. Okay, so hopefully this is the same picture you got. So Leah's mom is standing at the bottom of a slide, waiting for Leah to slide down. The angle of elevation is 46 degrees. The slide has a vertical height of 9, vertical meaning up and down. And we're trying to find the length of the slide. So slides are always diagonal to the ground. Okay, so the next thing I want you to do is I want you to figure out what trig ratio you're going to use. So I want you to pause the video, see if you can set it up and solve it in 1, 2, 3. Okay, so 9 is my opposite, x is my hypotenuse, so I have to use sine. The sine of 46 equals 9 over x. Because I'm dividing by x, I'm going to multiply by x. And now because I'm multiplying by the sine of 46, I'm going to divide. So it's actually 9 divided by the sine of 46. And when I put this in my calculator, I get 12.5. So hopefully that's what you got. If you need extra explanations, just let me know. Okay, we're going to move on. Okay, I want you to pause the video, and I want you to try this one all the way through. I want you to draw the diagram, set up your trig ratio, solve it. So try that and see what you can do in 1, 2, 3. Okay, so here's my picture. 16 is my opposite, 5 is my adjacent, so I have to use tan. The tan of x equals 16 over 5. Because we are looking for an angle measure, that's when we use our inverted tan or inverse tan. And we're going to put that in our calculator, and I get 72.6. If you don't understand that, go back and watch the video on finding angle measures. Okay, so now let's look at something called the angle of depression. Alright, so the angle of depression is this one right here. So you're looking down. The angle of depression is formed by an observer's line of sight and a horizontal line. So there's their line of sight and the horizontal line, and then right in there is your angle of depression. Alright, so remember what we know about alternate interior angles? So we said if two lines were parallel and they're cut by a transversal, this angle and this angle are exactly the same. So if you draw a triangle like this, or you draw a triangle like this, these two angles are exactly the same. So it really kind of doesn't matter whether you're talking about the angle of depression or angle of elevation. Because it's back to that parallel lines cut by a transversal stuff you learned in Math 2. Alright, so I want you to see if you can draw this picture, and I want you to try it. Pause the video in 1, 2, 3. Okay, so this one's a little misleading. So this part is my angle of depression, but remember that these are alternate interior angles, so this angle is also 18 degrees. So really what I'm looking at is this picture right here. Okay, so now that we know that, we can do the rest of it. So this is my opposite, this is my adjacent, so I have to use tan. The tangent of 18 degrees equals opposite over adjacent. Because x is being divided, I can multiply by x. Because tan 18 is being multiplied, I can divide. So it's 8 over tan 18, which gives us 24.6. Alright, let's just do a few more. Okay, I want you to try and draw the picture, because I think that's the hardest part. So pause the video and do it in 1, 2, 3. Alright, so once again, remember, if that's the angle of depression, this angle is also 73 because you're talking about alternate interior angles. So really you're just looking at this triangle. This is my opposite. This is my adjacent. I'm going to use tan again. If you haven't noticed, tan is very popular when you're doing word problems. The last thing I'm going to do is, since I'm dividing by 1200, I'm going to multiply both sides by 1200. Alright, so I'm going to put that in my calculator, and I get 3,925 feet. Alright, let's do another one. Actually, we're going to do these last two. So I want you to try them. I want you to draw the pictures, and I want you to solve them and round to the nearest tenth. See if you can do that, and I'm going to show you the answers. So see what you can do in 1, 2, 3. Okay, so here are your two answers. I think the first one's pretty tough, but you should get 193.2. You're going to use tangent. You're going to solve it just like we always solve tangent. The last one, you should get 141.1. Using tangent again, you can check out the pictures. Remember using alternate interior angles, just things like that. So if you need further explanation, let me know. And then, so I was doing some bubble letters, and then my son decided to draw on this. So if you'll go and try your practice problems, and let me know if you have any questions.